Good morning, everyone. In behalf of Joyce Patatag, I am Eliza Quinty Rosario and I am going to report her part, which is to score a point, to win a set, and the match. First, to score a point. So there are three ways to score a point. A team scores a point by successfully landing the ball on the opponent's court. Second, when the opponent team commits a fault. Third, and when the opponent team receives a penalty. So, when can we say that a team commits a fault? A team commits a fault by making a playing action contrary to the rules or by violating them in some other way. The referees judge the faults and determine the consequences according to the rules. So, there are two rules. A. If two or more faults are committed successively, only the first one is counted. B. If two or more faults are committed by opponents simultaneously, a double fault is called and the rally is replayed. Next, so what is a rally? A rally is the sequence of playing actions from the moment of the service hit by the server until the ball is out of play. And a completed rally is the sequence of playing actions which results in the award of a point. So we can consider a rally that is completed, there are results already. This includes the award of a penalty, loss of service for service hit made after the time limit. If the serving team wins a rally, it scores a point and continues to serve. Take note of that. If the receiving team wins a rally, it scores a point and it must serve next. So, how to win a set in volleyball? A set, except the deciding fifth set, is won by the team which first scores 25 points with a minimum lead of 2 points. In case of a 24-24 tie, play is continued until 2-point lead is achieved. For example, 26 to 24, 27 and 25. So there must be a minimum lead of 2 points. Next is how to win the match. So in volleyball, a team must win 3 sets. So in case of a 2-2 tie, the deciding fifth set is played to 15 points with a minimum lead of 2 points. So for example, kung kinsay pinaka-first nga makawin og 3 ka set, so ang set is naa may 25 points. So kung kinsa nga team ang makadaog og 3 ka set, 25, 25, 25, unless kung malapas, dapat ay minimum lead of 2 points as what we have mentioned earlier, mao ang makadaog nga team. Unya, naa man cases na mag-tie, it is possible na maabot og 5th set. And the deciding 5th set is played to 15 points with a minimum lead of 2 points. So 15 points ra ang 5th set. Maybe because taas na kaayo ang duwa, that is why. Next is default and incomplete team. If a team refuses to play after being summoned to do so, it is declared in default and forfeits the match with the results of 0-3 for the match and 0-25 for each set. A team that, without justifiable reason, does not appear on the playing court on time is declared in default with the same result as in Rule of 6.4.1. So, makonsider as default or incomplete team kung ang usa ka team is late or wala nito nga, or ang team refuses to play after being summoned. Next is a team that is declared incomplete for the set or for the match loses the set or the match. The opponent team is given the points or the points and the sets needed to win the set or the match. The incomplete team keeps its points and sets. So that is all for my report. Next is the structure of play.
Okay, so good afternoon everyone. Welcome to our next subtopic entitled Structure of Play. The toss. Before the match, the first referee carries out a toss to decide upon the first service and the sides of the court in the first set. If a deciding set is to be played, a new toss will be carried out. The toss is taken in the presence of the two team captains. So we all know nga before mag-start ang play, dapat na dyan nahitabo nga toss. So it's either head or tail. The winner of the toss chooses either the right to serve or to receive the service, or the side of the court. The loser takes the remaining choice. So if kinsa ang makadaog sa toss, kay ang head man jud usually ang daog and then the tail kay ang loser, so magpili ang katong nakadaog kung either sila ang mo serve or mo receive sa service. Official warm-up session. Prior to the match, if the teams have previously had a playing court exclusively at their disposal, they are entitled to a 6-minute official warm-up period together at the net. If not, they may have 10 minutes. For FIVB World and official competitions, teams will be entitled to a 10-minute warm-up period together at the net. So every play, there is an official warm-up nga mahitabo jud before magsugod ang play. So every team kay na ay 6-minute official warm-up period together at the net, or if dili man gani, they have 10 minutes. But for world and official volleyball games, na sila'y 10-minute warm-up. If either captain requests separate or consecutive official warm-ups at the net, the teams are allowed 3 minutes each or 5 minutes each. In the case of consecutive official warm-ups, the team that has the first service takes the first turn at the net. For FIVB World and official competitions, all players must wear playing uniform for the complete protocol and warm-up. So, ang mga team captain kay pwede sila mag-request of separate warm-up. So, tagana sila 3 minutes each or 5 minutes each. And also, kung kisa tong makatake sa first service, mo ang makatake sa first turn sa net. For official and world volleyball competitions, uniform is a must. Team starting lineup. There must always be 6 players per team in the play. The team starting lineup indicates the rotational order of the players on the court. This order must be maintained throughout the set. Before the start of each set, the coach has to present the starting lineup of his or her team on the lineup sheet or via the electronic device if used. The sheet is submitted, duly filled in and signed, to the second referee or the scorer, or electronically sent directly to the e-scorer. So before the play, ang team jud every volleyball game kay na sila starting lineup. So as we all know, very common 6 players jud ang mo present sa starting lineup. And also before each set kay ang coach iyan na i-present ang kung kisa tong first 6 nga naa sa game. The players who are not in the starting lineup of a set are the substitutes for that set, except the liberos. Once the lineup sheet has been delivered to the second referee or scorer, no change in the lineup may be authorized without regular substitution. Discrepancies between players' position on court and on the lineup sheet are dealt with as follows. When such a discrepancy is discovered before the start of the set, players' positions must be rectified according to those on the lineup sheet, and there will be no sanction. So before the play, the players who are not in the starting lineup, they are considered the kanang mo substitute later on sa game, except for the liberos. So once gani nga ma-delivered na ang lineup sheet, wala na change nga mahitabo sa starting lineup. And also, discrepancy means kanang is inconsistency or difference. So between players' position on the court kay naay they dealt with something nga nakabutang sa discovered before the start of the set. So, the players must be rectified, meaning ilang i-correct kung kinsa ang naa sa lineup sheet and there will be no sanction. When before the start of the set, any player on court is found not to be registered on the lineup sheet of that set, this player must be changed to conform to the lineup sheet and there will be no sanction. However, if the coach wishes to keep such non-record players or player on the court, he or she has to request regular substitutions by use of the corresponding hand signal, which will be then recorded on the score sheet. So, if anything happens with the inconsistency of the lineup sheet and the player nga nasa starting line, kay pwede mo request ang coach og regular substitution using the hand signal. If discrepancy between players' positions in the lineup sheet is discovered later, the team at fault must revert to the correct positions. The opponent's points remain valid, and in addition, they receive a point at the next service. All points scored by the team at fault from the exact moment of the fault up to the discovery of the fault are cancelled. So if may bawaan nga dili in accordance sa lineup sheet o sa team starting lineup nga nahitabo sa play, ang opponent kay remain ra ilahang points and valid, and also maka-receive sila og next point sa next service. And the players kay katong nagbuhat sa nga dili mao pagbutang sa lineup sheet and sa starting lineup kay they will receive a fault. A player is found to be on court but he or she is not registered on the team roster. The opponent's points remain valid, and in addition, they gain a point and service. The team at fault will lose all points and or sets, so 0/25 if necessary, gained from the moment the non-registered player enter the court, and will have to submit a revised lineup sheet and send a new registered player into the court in the position of the non-registered player. So this is very understandable na if na ay player nga wala na register sa team nga mo play para nila, so automatic nga 0 sila, and then the opponent will gain a point and service. Positions. At the moment the ball is hit by the server, each team must be positioned within its own court in the rotational order, except the server. The positions of the players are numbered as follows. So the 3 players along the net are front row players and occupy positions. The number 4 is front left, 3 is front center, and 2 is front right. The other 3 are back row players occupying positions. 5 is back left, 6 is back center, and 1 is back right. So it is very common to us nga makakita dyan yung aning position every volleyball game, and this part is very understandable. Relative positions between players. Each back row player must be positioned further back from the center line than the corresponding front row player. The front row players and the back row players respectively must be positioned laterally in the order indicated in Rule 741. The positions of players are determined and controlled according to the positions of their feet contacting the ground. The last contact with the floor fixes the player's position as follows. Each back row player must be level with or have at least a part of 1 foot further from the center line than the front foot of the corresponding front row player. So, ang position sa players kay ma-determine nimo according sa position sa ilang feet contacting the ground. So, each back row player must be level with or have at least a part of 1 foot further from the center line. Each right or left side player must be level with or have at least a part of 1 foot closer to the right or left sideline than the foot further from the right or left sideline of the other players in that row. After the service heat, the players may move around and occupy any position on their court in the free zone. So after service heat, kay every player kay mag-move na sila, and later on kay mahibaw na to ang ilang rotational order. Positional fault. The team commits a positional fault if any player is not in his or her correct position at the moment the ball is hit by the server. When a player is on court through illegal substitution and play restarts, this is counted as a positional fault with the consequences of an illegal substitution. So, ang positional fault, mahitabo ra ni siya if the players are not in their correct position. So, we all know nga every player kay nakaposition na sila from front row to back row. If the server commits a serving fault at the moment of the service hit, the server's fault is counted before a positional fault. If the service becomes faulty after the service hit, it is the positional fault that will be counted. A positional fault leads to the following consequences. The team is sanctioned with a point and service to the opponent. Player's position must be rectified. So if ang server makakommit siya og serving fault at the moment na gi-serve ang bola, so counted pa to siya before a positional fault. But if ang service gonna becomes faulty after the service hit, it will be counted as a positional fault. So a positional fault leads to following consequences, which is ang team kay sanction siya with a point and service to the opponent. Rotation. The rotational order is determined by the team's starting lineup and controlled with the service order and players' positions throughout the set. When the receiving team has gained the right to serve, each player rotates one position clockwise. The player in position 2 rotates the position 1 to serve. The player in position 1 rotates the position 6 and etc. So, very common ang rotation sa volleyball game and we all know nga kahibaw ta kung unsa ang way sa pamaagi sa ilang pag-rotate. Rotational fault. A rotational fault is committed when the service is not made according to the rotational order. It leads to the following consequences in order. The scorer stops play by the buzzer, the opponent gains a point and next service. So, mahitabo ang rotational fault if ang mga players kay wala nagsunod sa rotation, or when the service is not made according to the rotational order. If the rotational fault is determined only after the completion of the rally which started with a rotational fault, only a single point is awarded to the opponent, regardless of the result of the rally played. The rotational order of the faulty team must be rectified. So, if ang rotational fault kuno mahibaw-an na siya after the completion of the rally, so either way, kung kinsa may nakahulog sa bola of each team, maka-award og usa ka point ang opponent. So the rotational order also must be rectified. Additionally, the scorer should determine the exact moment when the fault was committed, and all points scored subsequently by the team at fault must be cancelled. The opponent's points remain valid. If that moment cannot be determined, no points or cancellation takes place, and a point and service to the opponent is the only sanction.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Abigail P. Villarreal. This afternoon, I am going to take over the report of Miss Joyce if Patatag, the playing actions or the states of play. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Did you know that the important part of volleyball is the states of play? I guess some of you will ask why. It is because the state of play covers essential regulations that determine the composition of most choices made by the referees, whether the ball is in or out. Ball in play. The ball is in play from the moment of the hit of the service authorized by the first referee. It is easy for us to determine if the ball is in play once the first referee gives go signal for the player to start the game or to the player who is authorized to hit the ball, regardless of which team serves first. When your team begins to serve, the person in the back right corner will be the first one to serve for your team. So we observe that without the go signal of the first referee, the player cannot start. Ball out of play. The ball is out of play at the moment of the fault, which is whistled by one of the referees. In the absence of a fault, at the moment of the whistle. For us to deeply understand how to determine if the ball is out, so here is the example. All parts of the ball which contact the floor and it is completely outside the boundary lines, So after that, if makita na siya sa referee, the referee will whistle and for us to know that the ball is out. Now let's proceed to the ball out. What we see in the screen are the things we need to know for us to find out when the ball is out. First, when all the parts of the ball which contact the floor are completely outside the boundary lines. I already gave this as an example earlier. Second, when the ball touches an object outside the court, the ceiling or a person out of play. Third, when it touches the antenna, ropes, posts, or the net itself outside the side bands. Aside from that, when the ball it crosses the vertical plane of the net, either partially or totally outside the crossing space, except in the case of Rule 10.1 and 2. Last, when it crosses completely the lower space under the net. I guess all the examples we see on the screen are understandable. That's all for the ball out, and now let's proceed to playing the ball. Playing the ball. Each team must play within its own playing area and space except Rule 10.1 and 2. The ball may, however, be retrieved from beyond its own free zone and over the scoring table in its complete extension. Team hits. A hit is any contact with the ball by a player in a play. For us to understand unsaning hits, there are three types of hits. The bumped, volley, and spike, or more modernly called pass, sit, and kill, or also known as hit. Commits the fault of 4 hits. So every team is only entitled to a maximum of 3 hits, in addition to blocking for returning the ball. So if the team used more, the team commits the fault of 4 hits. So for simultaneous contacts, 2 or 3 players may touch or allowed to touch the ball at the same moment. So when 2 or 3 teammates touch the ball simultaneously or sabay-sabay, it is counted as 2 or 3 hits. Of course, with the exception of blocking. So if they reach for the ball but only one of them touches it, 1 hit is counted. A collision of players does not constitute a fault. So again, when 2 opponents touch the ball simultaneously or sabay-sabay over the net and the ball remains in play, the team receiving the ball is entitled to another hit. However, if such a ball goes out, it is the fault of the team on the opposite side. If simultaneous hits by 2 opponents over the net lead to an extended contact with the ball, so the game continues. Assisted hit. Within the playing area, a player is not permitted or not allowed to take support from a teammate or any structure object in order to hit the ball. However, a player who is about to commit a fault, or for example for this, touch the net or cross the center line or etc., may be stopped or held by a teammate. The 3 characteristics of the hit. First, the ball may touch any part of the body. Second, the ball must not be caught and or thrown. It can rebound in any direction. Third, the ball may touch various parts of the body, provided that the contacts take place simultaneously. Now let's proceed to exemptions. So as you can see in the screen, there are 2. First, at blocking, consecutive contacts may be made by 1 or more players provided that the contacts occur during one action. Second, at the first hit of the team, the ball may contact various parts of the body consecutively provided that the contacts occur during one action. Now we are in the last part, the faults in playing the game. 4 hits. A team hits the ball 4 times before returning it. Assisted hit. A player takes support from a teammate or any structure object in order to hit the ball within the playing area. Catch. The ball is caught and or thrown it does not rebound from the hit. Double contact. A player hits the ball twice in succession or the ball contacts various parts of his or her body in succession.